Okay, welcome everyone to a second podcast that this time I'm recording with people that are a bit more sweatier than Gastomo and Lowercase. No offense to them, but I am right now with Otop, which is one of the first to complete all the Nightmare Rifts in Sub 2 during Chapter 2. Otop, you're also the owner of the TFE, the Few Elites Discord, which is it's a public Discord, right?
Yeah, it is. Hi, everyone. Yes, the Few Elites is public, and it is also an in-game group. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for accepting the invitation. And on the other side, I also have Kaukto, which is honestly probably one of the best player in the world. You were among the first team to sub to Rumble Rooftop Nightmare back in Chapter 1 alongside Tiger, Skog, and Bod. During Chapter 2, if I had to list all of the rifts that we either sub to or completed first, it would take so long. I'm glad that you're also here, Cal.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me.
And in this podcast, we are going to I would like to say we're going to make a summary of everything that happened from March 18th, the release of Moko to today, how it went, what do we think of that? And well, to start off, we have to talk about Chapter 1, I guess. Maybe you could start, Kaukto, by going first through... Oh, actually, I just had an idea. How did you discover the game? And what did you think of it at first?
Yeah, so I actually didn't know about the game before it released. I was just bored one night, scrolling through like Twitch, looking for something to watch. And I saw some big streamers doing promotions for the game. And so I watched it, and it looked interesting. So I downloaded the game, and I played it all night. I immediately fell in love with it, and yeah, like the start of Chapter 1 was amazing.
What was the streamer from the VVT team, like VW?
Yes, exactly. The German
these sweaty people
community, yeah.
And what about you, Ota?
Yeah, so I kind of knew that Moko existed beforehand because I saw Kairos's video on it, but I actually didn't join on March 18th because I had no idea it was happening. I think I saw Kairos's information about the game only a couple of days after. And then I was like, oh, I used to play Brawl Stars. I liked it a lot. Let me check out Moko. And then I instantly became so addicted in Chapter 1. I think I played for like 4 hours straight upon downloading it and like did not sleep that well.
What the fuck?
It felt so new to me, honestly, and it was just very exciting, and I just loved so much about it.
But do you have the OG crew title?
I do, yeah.
Oh, okay,
I think
you're
I
an
was
OG.
just
Okay.
early enough.
You're allowed to be here.
Yes, thank you.
I guess we all share this disease of being addicted. And
Yeah.
should we cure ourselves? I don't know, but we'll still deal with it.
I mean,
we'll see.
they are doing it for us, but yeah.
Yeah.
For a while
I don't know.
least. But yeah, more about that later.
Mm-hmm.
On my end, yeah, I knew about the game coming in. I don't even remember from where, but I saw probably on Twitter someone talking about the game back in 2023 with the beta. And I didn't play the beta, but I joined the Discord at around this time. And I knew that MMOs are something I love. And so I kind of was just AFK in the Discord because it felt like everything was going slow. But then I saw the announcement of the release in March 18th, and I knew I would be playing this thing. And so when it came out, I just went on it. But at first, we were all spread around. The community wasn't really built, and it was hard to get in touch with other players. And that's where we slowly, find groups of people. Discords that were a bit more elite than the original Mokord, as we call it. And this is where we got to kind of sweat the game. And when I say sweat the game, I think this is where you, Kaoto, see a bit more problems with Chapter 1. Do you have any in mind right now?
Yeah, I mean, the most appealing thing for me about games like this is just competing against other players, like trying to become the first player to beat something, to subdue it, to complete everything first, and stuff like this. And yeah, like a big problem that appeared in Chapter 1 was the sharding. So the bonus rewards from the pass were not capped, and you could grind them infinitely by going into dojos and like only picking up the shards, not picking up the XP. I think a lot of people still remember that.
Yeah.
And that created a huge imbalance in the XP, which made the whole thing lose a bit of its like competitive feeling, because suddenly players that abused that had a huge XP advantage. And yeah.
Did you do it?
And no, I didn't.
Because you didn't want to, or because you couldn't?
It was just too boring for me.
Guys.
I did it maybe for 1 hour.
Yeah, okay, so you tried the thing and then you realized, okay, not made for this. But
yeah, same. I tried it like a couple of times and I was like, no, I refuse.
But then, this question is for both of you. Did you see a complete interest loss in the leaderboards for the whole of Chapter 1 afterwards? XP on the XP
No, certainly
leaderboard.
not.
No, I was still maintaining my position. But yeah, you could still see a lot of players that were on top of the leaderboard at the start that they quit the game. Like that was noticeable.
Yeah, it was kind of sad to see some people who used to be very dedicated to grinding XP and being at the top quit.
Well, honestly, I want to say yes and no, because sure, they did the work to get there at the top of the leaderboard by sharding, but once it was done, no matter how much effort you could put into the game, there was no way to catch up on the people above you. If I take my own experience, in Switzerland, I was number 2 behind Dasha. Maybe this name rings a bell to you. And I don't know how much Dasha played after the nerf of sharding, but I knew that I was honestly playing way more, and knowing that there was no way for me to just get above, because it's almost as if our spots were locked as long as you play. Kind of made me lose more and more interest, even though I was among, I think, like top 20. That's why, in my opinion, the tokens leaderboard was way more interesting and relevant, but not everyone turned their attention to it.
Yeah, I think
the
whole leaderboard system was flawed from the start, because it was depending on when you started the game. Like if you started 2 days later, you could never catch up to someone that started earlier. So the system was flawed anyway, but the sharding made it even worse.
I also think the token leaderboard is a lot more did fix some of those problems, because it's so dependent on like you being able to compete in all aspects of the game, not just XP and world farming and sharding and stuff like that. So it does kind of surprise me that people don't care about token leaderboards as much. Like I'm sure some people do, but to be honest, I don't really care. But that's mainly because I am lazy and I never do worlds.
Okay.
I mean, the token leaderboard was a nice thing for me, because it kept me playing, because I had something to compete for, to grind for. Getting the first one to get all the tokens. So yeah, it definitely kept me motivated to play.
But basically, yeah, I was here talking about the amount of tokens to reach the top, because obviously at some point everyone had everything done, and so yes, the placement on the leaderboard was random, and therefore it made the leaderboard kind of irrelevant. But before that, getting to the max amount was kind of the big race of Chapter 1. And actually, I have a question. Do you guys remember how many tokens it was to max out? It's
I think
hard.
it was
No.
10,040.
Ah, damn, you're good. Because I asked myself that question like a week ago, and I told myself 10,080, and then I rechecked it. It is 10,040. It is 10,040. Oh, you're good, damn. But yeah, here we're talking kind of the best parts of chapter 1, this race, and the fact that there was an actual competition and it was fun. And I see people comparing this Rooftop Rumble rift being so good compared to what rifts we have in chapter 2, but at the same time wondering, is it because it was so hard, or is it just because it happened that one rift was much harder than the rest, unlike chapter 2 where everything is kind of almost on the same ground, even though we are cheesing the less subs. So was Rooftop Rumble really the rift of the year, or was it more because the rest of the chapter 1 rifts were kind of garbage?
I think it was because the rest of the chapter 1 rifts were not that good, and I also disagree. I don't think Rooftop is like the best rift they ever made, and a lot of the like chapter 1 rifts are better, but we can talk more about that later. But yeah.
Actually, I also kind of agree. I think it has this special place because it was, I think most people finished all the other sub 2s way earlier, but Rooftop Rumble was the last one standing for so long. And so it had this kind of like legendary status, and it was the end game for a lot of people. But I also don't think it's like the best rift ever. It is a very good rift, and I still, I'm a little bit nostalgic for Rooftop Rumble Nightmare, but I thought both chapter 1 and chapter 2 had some really interesting riffs that are not necessarily way worse than Rooftop.
So besides this and sharding, obviously, with the leaderboards, that, by the way, has been fixed because they capped the amount of shards could get in a pass. So yes, the damage was done, but at least it was fixed. Do you guys still have other problems from chapter 1 in mind before we start getting to the transition?
Yes.
Oh,
a couple things. So obviously, I think everybody knows at this point, but PvP was so bad. Is still so bad.
Oh, yes.
It was so boring and so grindy, and I would genuinely fall asleep during PvP against like bot matches and stuff. And they tried to fix it, but I really don't think they have to do something drastic with PvP because I don't know anyone who plays PvP for fun. I think people just do it so that they'll get the titles for the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing that I think is a big problem with the game actually is that it's very buggy and there's so many crashes in chapter 1 and in chapter 2. And I have a decently good phone. I have an iPhone 15 and I've never experienced so many like overheating, crashes, bugs
Really?
in any other app or game. Yeah. And I think it is probably something that they're working on, but it just seems like every update we still have some bug, whether it's with chat or with lobbies or, crashing.
And do you have more crashes in chapter 2 or chapter 1?
I think chapter 1.
Okay, maybe it got better, but
yeah,
still complaining. Is
I have. Actually, how did I think about it? Yeah, the game didn't really crash in chapter 2. It just had other issues. But yeah, the crashes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah,
that's true. Fewer crashes, but then chat is always bugged.
Oh yeah, the chat.
Teams are always bugged. Yeah.
Yeah, the phone is turning into a microwave.
Oh my gosh, I had to put like a genuine ice pack on the back of my phone.
How long does it take for your phone to actually insanely overheat?
I think it depends on what I'm doing. I want to say,
okay.
Yeah, it kind of depends. I would say it's warm like from the beginning a little bit, but that's fine. That's normal. But it will really start overheating, I think, about like 2 hours in to doing something somewhat intensive. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it also got better. It was way worse at the start of chapter 2, but yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I have another thing. And I think another issue of chapter 1 was the balancing. in a sense where like the squid blades just dominated everything.
Oh yes.
And you could complete everything so much faster than they intended to, because you could just squid blade cheese it, which also led to us clearing everything faster and not having any content. I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And it also was probably kind of frustrating for casuals who didn't get to sub 2 stuff with Squid Blades.
Yeah.
Like they had to, use Portal or whatever else. So it probably felt like, oh, if you joined late or took a break or something and missed Squid Blades, you kind of lost out on getting easier sub 2s. But that might not be a bad thing. Like, I'm
Definitely.
glad they took away invisibility.
Yeah, I will
I
agree.
mean, for Rifts, definitely, yeah.
For Rifts, especially, yeah. I will
Yeah.
agree with these squid blades. However, regarding the balancing of the items, that was not properly done. Well, I guess it was the first ever chapter, so could they know exactly what would be good, what would be bad? I guess they had to go
Yeah.
with whatever they thought, but obviously things are much better in chapter 2. And do you actually have any other point regarding chapter 1 specifically?
This isn't really an issue I had with chapter 1, more just kind of like something I liked. I thought like finding friends in the game could have been better, but I actually really enjoyed the community. It very much felt like so because I joined late, I was a couple levels behind everyone, but higher level people were still very much willing to help me, get my clears, get my subs. And I just kind of liked that spirit of, oh, pay it forward. I'll help you so that later you'll help some other low level noob. And I think I carry that kind of like generosity forward. And that is what brings me a lot of joy in the game, is helping others get through rifts.
Crazy dedication, not gonna lie. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yes. I know that's not everyone for sure, but I really like it. Oh, and one other thing. I thought that the art for the game, like the visuals for the game, were so great for a mobile game.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
kinda like
it
that
was
as
just
well.
very exciting.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah. And I think they could do a lot with the lore as well. I hope they keep it in the seasons.
Well, yeah, I could talk a lot about the lore because I feel like they're trying to get us into something like a sort of story, but we have nothing. They're presenting this vampire in chapter 2 out of nowhere, and like, okay, you fight it, but that's it. And then there's one rift where you see it has Luna, but like, what do you do with that? And I feel like they have a whole story prepared, but they're not giving us anything. So are they ready? Do they just don't have the time? It's kind of weird for me on that part.
Yeah, I'll give them kind of like space and say, well, they have so many more pressing matters to fix, and hopefully at some point we'll get a bit more of a coherent storyline and lore that's incorporated in ways other than just the dialogue.
If you don't have anything else, Kaokto, we'll go to the next part.
Yeah, we can go to the next one.
Which is basically the transition from chapter 1 to chapter 2. So here we're talking starting. Yeah, the 20th of May is kind of the time where we got the countdown for chapter 2. We were kind of expecting it. So if I remember correctly, we had an update 1 week before the beginning of chapter 2.
Yes,
But
I think so.
this update was a horror. It brought many problems with how they balance things and many bugs. And they also revamped PvP to be something that you had to grind within 3 days instead of the whole chapter. All the way to the point where they had to even, delay the release of chapter 2 by 1 day. And then we got into chapter 2. And I kind of want to have your feelings and your thoughts of this first week before chapter 2 all the way to the first 2 weeks of chapter 2 when discovering everything that was new.
Yeah, I mean, the first week and last week before chapter 2 was a horror, because nobody had any idea what was going to happen, what was going on regarding so many things, and everyone kept like shouting and asking, but we didn't get any answer until like
That
I
is
think
true.
if only 2 or 3 days before the chapter. So there were like all these unknowns. What is going to happen with your XP bank that they introduced 1 week before? What is going to happen with like the missions you haven't completed and stuff? And yeah, it was you were hyped for the new content, but at the same time you were like,
we had so many questions.
Yeah,
especially regarding the XP and the projects. I remember.
Yeah, I remember there was so much speculation, and I thought, oh, there's no way they're going to roll over XP Bank. That doesn't make sense. Certainly, they'll just reset it all. And so during that last week, I was like, oh, I guess I'll grind PvP to get the titles. So then I did that, used up all of my bank, and then going into chapter 2, I was like, oh man, I missed out on, what was it, 420,000, and it kind of felt like they weren't really thinking about how it felt for us to not really know what was coming until it was too late. And I kind of wish that they were more communicative, just like across the board, throughout the chapter, during the transitions. Yeah.
There was completely a whole problem of communication from the team. We had no idea of what was going on, and I feel like at some point, I felt like they don't even play their own game because some things that seemed insanely obvious to us were not done, either regarding the PvP progress, regarding the bank XP, and all the resets, but yet they still went with it. I'm wondering if, because we were kind of the top players, our vision of the game is way different than a new player. And so obviously we matter less because we're already addicted to the game. It's too late for us, They caught us forever and they care more
only
about
a small percentage.
Yes. But it makes the people that care the most about the game have their feelings getting hurt at this point with all this stuff happening.
I also think it's kind of not only is it kind of a slap to the face to the sweatier, more dedicated players, but I also think it's not wise from their perspective, because I feel like the addicted, so to speak, the addicted and dedicated players are the ones that are going to spend money, and they are like a business, and you're not going to get. I feel like if you lose, the hardcore dedicated players and you only have casuals, I don't know if that's a sustainable game for a company to have. And just to kind of talk more about a specific problem, there's no way they play tested all of the risks, because why would you ever think that sub 2 wave machine is remotely possible? Like it's just super obvious that it's impossible the first time you play it.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't even playtest the worlds because they added a bunch of quests that weren't even possible.
Yeah, that too. The bug quests that just don't appear. And I wonder if it's like, oh, it was a mistake, like some oversight where they knew that it was a problem, but someone messed up and it got added as a project, or if they genuinely just didn't know.
Yeah, it's so odd because like these things, they you notice them immediately if you test them. Like I also wonder, do they even test the stuff they release? Also, chapter 1 had quests that were bugged, quests that took extremely longer than most other quests, like Hefty Spirits. The same in chapter 2, the Scorchers. Yeah, it's sometimes feels like they didn't properly test everything.
No, which is why HX, I know you had in the Ask Me Anything on the official Discord, you had a forum that was talking about getting to know how many people are working on their team. And I honestly really want to know, like, I'm so curious, because I think it would give us some insight into, what their capacity is as that size team. Like maybe they really are just super stretched thin, and that's a bit more understandable. Whereas right now we're just kind of seeing devs make a game that it seems like they don't play.
We're seeing one guy right now.
Yeah,
Joao?
exactly.
And do we even see him a lot? I don't know. For me, it's not really hard to do
No.
one tweet every week. Just
Right.
just say hi, and we're doing this. And for me, it's enough. But
Yeah.
yeah, no communication
Yeah.
whatsoever. And on the other hand, you listen to the Supercell creators that have access to probably a different Discord, and they keep saying that the devs are insanely communicative and they care about their game and everything. But then you feel like they only talk with these people, and the rest of the community is just, away.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And another,
That's a really good point.
yeah.
Hmm.
And yeah, so we could talk about all the things that are different from chapter 1 to chapter 2. The groups were different. By groups, I mean the lobbies, where before you could have up to probably 100, maybe even more players in a lobby. Some people having rifts, some people in worlds, doing callouts, and it was a system that was totally different than what they did in chapter 2 with the rift lobbies, where you could only be 4 and not more. Now that we have played it for more than 2 months, 3 months, I am fine with the system. I actually wouldn't mind keeping it or going back to the old one. But I remember that back then, everyone was really hating on the new lobbies.
Hmm.
We forgot one big thing regarding the transition from chapter 1 to chapter 2, which was the announcement that leaderboards would be removed, which caused, I think, one of the biggest uproars in the community.
Yes.
Because the leaderboards gave you a feeling that you were playing for something, you were competing for people, competing for something, and they suddenly removed it, which caused a lot of people to lose interest in the game.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just going to go back to the earlier point about lobbies for a second.
Sure.
Lobbies and teams. I definitely felt sad that the massive lobbies went away. But I now that I've played in teams for a while, I kind of understand why they would do it. And I think for rifts, it's totally fine because people will just share like a team. Though I did kind of miss the carry lobbies that I used to be very active in it towards the end of chapter 1, where you just have like 40 or 60 people all doing rifts together, and then people can like swap in and out. And I actually quite liked that because if somebody has to like go, take a 15-minute break or something, you could sub somebody in very easily, as opposed to now where you have to kind of like wait for someone to join or ask on Discord or something like that. Though the lobbies, once they reached a certain size, did get very buggy, so that also might have informed their decision. I think the biggest thing that I would want changed from how Chapter 2 does teams is the ability to join worlds. Because often I'll just be waiting in a
Yes.
lobby for someone to, grab a drink or do something, or we will have 3 out of 4 and you can't do anything in the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's silly. I think they should implement that.
Yes, indeed. There's a big problem with
lobbies
lobbies.
was such a huge thing where you just met up with people and played so many rifts together, and it got so much harder with the introduction of groups. Sorry.
Oh yes.
It just made it so much harder to play with people. Like the lobby system was way better, in my opinion.
I also agree. I think it felt more like a community thing. I'm not really sure what their reasoning behind removing it was. It just felt very fun to like do mega lobbies, for example. I know we have, the massive groups now, but I kind of miss the mega lobbies that would kind of go on and people can join and leave and whatever. It just felt like you were more part of like a community. And the same thing with Rift lobbies.
Yeah, it's insane because they keep talking in the KPI. By the way, they talk about the fact that they feel that their game is not social enough, but then they do these changes that make it less social. But maybe I'll defend them, because I think that when you see how laggy and buggy our chats and groups are, how would it be if there were 80 people? So
yeah.
Maybe that's one point. And regarding the leaderboards being removed, I don't know from where I heard that, but I think that the devs were aware that there would be problems with people and alts having more XP through projects. And so they knew that these alts would be at the top of the leaderboard. So to counter that, they had to go with the harsh decision of removing them as a whole. And
Yeah.
that's also why they kept the tokens leaderboard, because according to them, everyone could have the same amount of tokens. And so it would be a fair fight, which in reality isn't, because obviously the alts get to elite before the normal players. But then they will also not really explain why removing the global and local leaderboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I also think they also removed event leaderboards for a hot second, which makes no sense because those are completely fair. You have the same build, you have the same exact. It's an equal playing field, so why remove the leaderboards for that? But they added it back in, I think, like the next week. And I think I know where you heard that from. I think Joao, after chapter 2 was received horribly, I think Joao like tweeted or wrote something basically explaining that they knew that the projects, the global XP leaderboard was going to be all alts basically. So they decided to get rid of it. Yeah, but I do remember people were kind of upset at that as well, just because it kind of felt like, oh, so there's an issue with something, and what you're going to do is just remove it instead of trying to find a better solution. I'm not sure how much I agree with that because I can't really think of a easy fix.
Well, seasons. we maybe have the answer in the next KPI.
Right, yeah.
But we'll see about that. I actually had a question for you, Kaokto, because you talked so much about the competitive aspect of the game, especially in chapter 1, Mr. I maxed out before anyone else. So now that the leaderboards are removed, how I want to kind of know the story of your first 2-3 weeks into chapter 2. How did you experience it, and what was your mindset? Did you think I'm gonna sweat it really hard, or yeah, fuck it, I'm just gonna play it, but that's it?
Oh, I mean, I had almost a maxed out bank because I was afraid that was going to happen.
Yeah, you were uncatchable.
So I prepared for it. Sorry, what?
You were uncatchable, by the way.
Yeah, and so I knew I had an advantage over other people. So I was very, very motivated to grind and to play. And I was very excited for all the new stuff, especially in the first few weeks. You could notice that the sign of the world and the enemies just got so much better. Like compared to chapter 1, it's a whole different world. Like the rifts, the worlds, the enemies. Huge improvement in my opinion. Like they cooked. And yeah, so I had a lot of fun still because I wasn't much affected by that. So yeah, I was still grinding.
But there was no leaderboard.
Yeah, there was no leaderboard, but you still had like all of the, let's call them top players or people grinding, post their achievements in form of videos. Like if they completed the first completion or sub, they would post it. So you knew where people were, and I was still motivated to get the first clears, get the first subs.
Yeah, I honestly don't think that a leaderboard, like an XP leaderboard or a token leaderboard, is the motivating factor behind wanting to get the first in the world clears and subs. I think just being able to say that you were the first to do something is motivation enough. I also kind of want to provide like an opposite experience for the beginning of chapter 2, because right when chapter 2 dropped, I went on a vacation and I had no internet for I think like 4 days, or barely any internet, only when I got back to the hotel. So I missed out on the first couple of days completely.
Oh fuck.
And it was so frustrating because I was super burnt out from trying to do all of the projects and all of the quests and stuff to catch up, but I was behind like all of my friends on my friends list, and I honestly almost quit quit because it felt like so grindy and everybody was like 2 worlds above me. So I was struggling at the beginning of chapter 2, but I will say I think I was really, really hyped for chapter 2, and I actually really
Yeah, you came back.
enjoyed the new rifts. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I loved the new environments and I loved the new rifts. It was just a little. I got a little burnt out in the first couple of weeks of chapter 2 because I was basically just grinding the whole time to try and catch up. And it was I still would never have caught up to a lot of people because I had basically no bank going into chapter 2, because I thought they would certainly not do that. Silly me.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think that was very frustrating for me. But, I liked the game enough that I stuck with it.
But it was also impossible to get your XP done at the start of the chapter, right?
Oh yeah, true.
Like that was also
yes.
a huge problem. Like it took so
I
long.
totally forgot.
So many people quit
Yeah.
because of that too. Yeah.
I think that was definitely part of my frustration too. I just felt like, oh, I can camp out and get so many megas, and it barely makes a dent.
Yeah.
And that was so frustrating, especially coming from chapter 1 where you can get like 60K in one go, which is not
Yeah.
the ideal necessarily, but it was a very drastic shift.
I mean, they noticed their mistake very early on and changed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to talk about that more. But I still think it's too low, like the XP rate.
I think it's perfect. Now we can actually get right into chapter 2 as a whole. If you had to give one big L and one big W to anything in chapter 2, what would it be?
A big L is probably balancing the rifts / the projects for the rifts, just like not thinking them through. I think, so a lot of the Nightmare rifts, we were only able to get sub 2s with cheese.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Which I actually quite enjoy. I think they're funny and they're fun, but I don't know if that's a good thing for the game. I think the rifts were definitely. Well, see, I could see the devs planning it to be super hard so that we would have stuff to do for longer, because I know that they were really surprised by how quickly we went through the chapter 1 rifts. But I know that most people playing the game have not completed Nightmare subs any, or even clears.
Yeah.
There's so many people in my in-game group that just are stuck at hard subs or Nightmare clears, and I think that's probably not good for the game. Like if most of your player base that has been playing for months at this point in chapter 2 haven't even made it through like Throne Room Nightmare clear at this point, it probably will make people quit because they feel frustrated being stuck in the same place for so long.
And your W?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Are we hating on the rifts? Yeah.
No, no. I love this game. There's definitely W's. I mean, I think I mentioned this already, but probably all the new environments and mobs and rifts. I thought rifts having its part in the storyline was really cool too, with like finding Luna, and then getting kind of like a narrative in those first 3 rifts. I hope they bring more of that in. And I also think some of the ideas for the rifts were new compared to chapter 1.
Great.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna start with my W, which is just straight up the rift design. They felt so unique to play compared to chapter 1, where most of the rifts were basically copies of each other. In chapter 2, they were unique. The bosses all did like creative stuff, and yeah, that's my W. And the L is for me personally just the time needed to complete dailies and XP.
Really?
It didn't really matter at the start of chapter 2, where you were still in the honeymoon phase, you were grinding for hours daily. but very early on noticed that it just took too long every day to complete your daily XP, your daily jobs. Like it was just too much for me. The only thing that kept me going was like getting the last subs, but I was getting burned out so quickly because it just took too long.
Yeah. So it's interesting. That means we can spend time in worlds, but not too much. So do they need to do something to worlds so that it's fun enough, or is it just the XP?
I think I would have no problem with worlds and dailies if they weren't so horrible to do solo.
Yes.
For example, Slime King in Quarters, Corrupted Quarters. I'm so sad every time I log in and I see that as one of my dailies because I know that I'm gonna have to go in my in-game group chats and be like, Slime King, please help, with like a sad face because it's just impossible to do them on your own, and they're so common, these dailies that come back again and again, and you kind of groan every single time you see them. And then also some of the world, sometimes you just have like groups of mobs, and if it's just you just have to leave the world. Like even if there's something that you need to kill there, you can't do it on your own.
Yeah, I remember when we were the first Elite 80 or 90 unlocking the world, and you just had bots with you. It was really another thing to grind these. But I wanted to come back on one point that you talked about, Otop, regarding rifts and cheeses, because you said I don't know if cheeses are good or bad for the game. I think that they are incredibly bad for multiple reasons. First of all, if we have to cheese a rift for a sub, that means we spent way too much time trying to do it normally, which shouldn't be the case, because normally once you have the level requirement, you should be able to. It also means that we are, not on the same pace with the dev team, because the dev team would think that it would be possible, but because it's not, it forces us. I feel like cheesing a rift is not really for fun, besides if you're called DD. It's just it's mandatory because there's no other way to do it. And I'm trying to also I also think it's really bad because here we're talking, we have people we can play with, because we are people that got into the game enough so that we have groups, we have discords, we can find people easily to do rifts. But I think the majority of the player base does not have 3 other people to run rifts with. And so now if you tell a normal guy, a casual player, to do a Razor Cave Nightmares sub 2 cheese strat with randoms, I think you can just go to hell. There's no way. There's sadly no way to do it.
It's not possible.
And also another problem of that is, are we going to a point, because we see that cheesing rifts makes us subdue them with a way lower level requirement, and so will that also be the case in the future? If that happens, that something is too hard, we will just have to cheese it, and no one will even dare to try and find a way to do it normally. But it will be a bit counter, because in the KPI they say that there's no progression power anymore, so we're all at the same level. It's just about, is it well designed or not, which is the big pro and con, I think, of it, where they design it well, but the values they put into the damage or the HP of the mobs is just not it. And also, I think dojos were kind of mid this chapter compared to chapter 1. Yes, we did not have the RNG of having these NPC in dojos, but they felt like they just took the map, they chose a random mob, they put it in each corner, and good luck. Wow.
And on the one hand, you have the rifts that are way too hard, and the dojos, you sub to them on your very first try going in. So there wasn't really like a power curve. You were trying to figure out how to beat it. You were just straight up too strong once you unlocked them.
Oh, that we could talk a lot about that. Because I don't remember, but I think in chapter 1, once you unlocked a dojo, we could not subdue it straight away, right?
Sub 1, yeah, we couldn't.
Oh, sub 1, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
But in chapter 2, besides working, I think I managed to sub 1 everything right after
Maybe
unlock.
except tag team, but
Oh,
yeah, same.
Yeah, you were pretty much done with everything except for Sewer King really early,
But now,
which
then
is probably
I
not
have
what they wanted.
yeah. But then I have a question. Do you prefer it to be that way, where everything is too easy, or the other way, where it's too hard, but that means we have to cheese it? Obviously, the
I
answer is the middle ground, but if you had to
Yeah,
choose.
the answer is the
Yeah.
middle ground, but I would rather have it too hard. So there's actually something to play for. If it's too easy and you're done immediately, why even play?
Sub 30 seconds. But the problem I have with making them too hard is it's annoying. You know, you know it's too hard, and you're still trying again and again because you just have to do it. There's nothing really else you could do. And if you know that in the end it's just gonna get nerfed, I also want to say what's the point, you know? And
Right.
it's kind of something for, you know, if the devs, imagine the devs are listening to this, what a surprise it would be. But
I hope they do.
if they're listening to this, that means you would rather, if they're hesitating, you would rather make them design the rifts being too hard rather than too easy. And now I'm scared that we would go into new seasons with stuff that is barely impossible, and we try for weeks until the devs are like, okay, they're struggling, maybe we'll nerf them. And I feel like we in the weeks we spent with the hard version is just almost time wasted.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like a very, very small percentage or like a player that spends way too much time in the game. And
That's
I
the
would like
topic
to
of the
have
podcast.
them. Yeah, I would rather like to have them too hard, but the obvious answer is that it has to be a middle, right? Where there is where you go into it first, you cannot complete everything. You level up. There's like a curve. You keep getting closer, and then you beat it. And this has to be like a smooth process.
Yeah, I agree. I think chapter 1 did it pretty well, I would say. And I also think that maybe one problem is that levels weren't as impactful in Elite Hunter than they were in chapter 1. Because I think if ideally it would be that you can clear, but you can't sub anything when you first unlock it. But then if you really wanted to like sweat it out, you could maybe sub to a couple of them or maybe even all of them, but only if you like spent a ton of time. So, you know, sweats like you guys can go for the first in the world, but all the casuals can just wait like a week, level up a bunch, and then it'll become a lot more easier or a lot easier. I think that would be, in my opinion, that would be the kind of ideal balance where the casuals can just wait and the sweats can go for it if they want to.
I also think this issue kind of appeared because they locked some of the content behind elite levels compared to chapter 1, where you had everything once you were elite level 1. So I think they just miscalculated when they should give us what, and that caused this issue.
Yeah, and I feel like during chapter 2 there's also this very weird progression where after you reach elite, where once you get elite 1, you have your first world, and then it kinds of, the progression is a bit slow, but as soon as you get elite 10, you unlock, I think it's rifts that by doing them makes you unlock dojos, by doing them makes you unlock the next world, and then you unlock already the next dojos. And the time you spend in between elite 10 to like 35 is insanely small. I don't know if you've experienced that,
Yeah.
because I realize you go from elite 10 to 35. It only, you know, it honestly takes like 3 hours at most. And I felt like everyone went through that. And then once you reach 35, it starts getting a bit slower. But there's this small window where I don't know why they kind of packed up all the content or a lot of content, which made us skyrocket for no reason.
Mm-hmm. I also thought it was very slow going from like 40 to 50 normal. Like I remember feeling very frustrated being stuck before elite. And then when I got to elite, it was still a little grindy. And then once you hit 10, it was like, I'm gonna do all of these rift subs Rifts and Rift subs in one go and get a ton of XP and level up like 5 times.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just need to. I'm sure it's hard for them to try and plan that out, but I think they could definitely
No, it is hard.
try. Yeah, try to spread out the content so that things unlock and you always have something to do, and you're not just stuck kind of doing daily XP while you wait for your next dojo or rift to unlock.
Calcto, if you have nothing to add, I think we can already go into the current state of the game.
Yeah, I'm
And
done.
I kind of want to ask the question of what we need. I'm just going to give one first point that I think we need from what we've been talking about, which is playtesting. The people that create the game have to playtest. But then I would actually, this is a question I would also actually want to ask to our audience. How do you think they should playtest it? Should they ask the top players to playtest, but then that would mean the casuals would probably not do as good as us? Should they playtest with the dev team no matter how good they are at the game and then just try to rebalance based on how they perform? How do they have to do that, because it's not that easy.
I mean, I think they should definitely ask some top players, and I also think that they have to also play the game, because I think that how are you going to come up with good concepts and be in touch with the community if you don't actively play and play test your own game? So for casuals, I feel like even if they asked top players to test it out, depending on who, I guess, but I think top players can still give some insight into what a casual might experience. Because at this point, I've interacted with enough casuals that I'm like, okay, I know what riffs I'm not gonna ever offer to help a random, and I know which riffs I will be more than happy to spend an hour to help. But I think they absolutely need to also play test. Like the devs need to play test.
I agree.
Yeah, you agree. Then I will also ask you this question: what do you think we need right now with the current state of the game? How would you describe the current state of the game as well?
I mean, the current state right now is pretty bad. I think they noticed it themselves. That's why they are going with this huge shift from chapters to seasons, completely revamping the game with classes and stuff. So yeah, the current state is not good. I think the game needs something that you want to play for. I think it got kind of lost in chapter 2. Like, I find motivation in going for the first clears, the first subs. HX likes to completing everything, like grinding instantly. But
no,
there's just there's not really this this drive to play for anything in the game. Like, it's hard to explain, but in a rank game you grind for your higher rank. It's just missing in this game. I feel like there's nothing to play for.
Yeah. I don't know if they were hoping that PvP would be that, but it certainly is not.
No.
I also think for like casuals, a good motivator is probably just finding people that you like to play with. And kind of like instead of trying to be the first in the world or the top of the leaderboard, I think a lot of people could find a lot of fun and enjoyment in just, having these friends in game that you complete things together and figure out builds together and stuff like that. I think that is certainly one aspect of the game that I really enjoy. Playing with the same people and having good team chemistry and all stuff like that. But it does feel like after a while you really get burnt out. Like in the middle of chapter 2, I think I just didn't do my dailies for like almost a week.
Shame on you.
I know. Well, so I was just super burnt out and life was busy and I think I needed that break to come back to the game. And I've heard this before from other people. Like they'll take a break and then when they come back they feel a lot more motivated to play the game. They enjoy it a lot more. And it's kind of not good, or it's really not good that a game needs like a break to continue to enjoy it, because you're just going to get a lot of people that just take a break and then never come back.
Indeed.
Yeah, like this is also what I wanted to say, but the game needs to reduce the time needed to do daily stuff. Because if there is a period where there's not much content, where there's nothing to do, but you still want to keep up, like the time needed to do your daily stuff cannot be this long. Like you cannot spend like an hour or even more each day just doing daily XP. Like it's too much.
I will disagree with that a little bit. I also get kind of annoyed at dailies, but I also know of someone who just plays in worlds. Like
Really?
she just enjoys, yeah, she doesn't do rifts. She just enjoys going into worlds with her friends and like, or just by herself and just going and killing mobs. I think she finds it peaceful. Obviously, I think that's a very, very, very rare minority, but I don't think it's necessarily a given for everyone that they dislike having to do dailies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not against dailies, but I just think that the time needed to complete them needs to be reasonable. Like, I don't think it currently is.
What do you think is reasonable? 30
And
minutes?
the time needed to complete them.
No, but how long would it be? Would reasonable be for you? Like 30 minutes or?
Yeah, like 30, 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, it's maybe also not really the fact that there are dailies, but that they're also a bit mandatory to do if you want to keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's quite interesting. I don't know if you noticed, it's quite interesting because I first asked you how you discovered the game and you were all happy saying, oh, it's an insane game. I played it for so long. I'm so happy. It was so great. And now we're here saying, I don't want to do my dailies. Fuck this game. What are we on? So we can kind of see that. And I think it's kind of the comparison between you and the old players, where the new player is just totally amazed by anything going on because everything is new and fresh and there's stuff here and there. And slowly we're losing it the more we play. But at the same time, is it possible at our level with our playtime to still be amazed by things all the time? And I'm not sure that's possible.
Yeah, it definitely is not. It's just not possible.
Do you have anything to add regarding the current state of the game? Anything?
I have.
Yes.
I have a little bit. I think that they need to make it. They need to make it more social, and I know that they know this already because they've said so. But like in-game groups are fine. They're incredibly difficult to kind of manage though, because my game crashes anytime I try to look at the member list. And there's no search function or anything like that, and they also don't display like last active or easy fixes like that would help someone kind of manage a in-game group or community. I know they just introduced the community feature. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think it's probably good for callouts and things like that because you get like so many callouts. But in terms of like to find Rift help and social, it's not really like social in that way. And I'm curious what you guys think about communities / how in-game groups work right now.
Oh, I mean, I never really use them that much. I just have the people I play with on Discord, and that's it. So yeah, I cannot really say much about that.
Well, you can say that you don't care about them, and which is interesting because you managed to do everything. You have every Worlds project done, and you did that without any group. So it proves they're not that insanely useful, even though for callouts, obviously they are.
I mean, I wouldn't call them not insanely useful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's because I like from chapter 1 onwards, I was like building connections on Discord and was like in a huge community. So it was easy for me to find people. I don't know how it's for people that like either start the game or like weren't too much into like Discord or something. And
Yeah. Well, my take on group chats and communities, I don't know, because I've played a bit of Brawl Stars before Moko came out, and I loved this club thing. It's called club, right? Yeah, where you don't have many people, but you compete in weekly or monthly tournaments, and you feel way more bonded with the people. Here in Moko, you can have up to 1,000 people in a group, and I feel like it's infinite in communities. I don't know if it's a bug, but there are communities with over 10,000 members. And I feel like communities are just a bunch of chickens yapping about everything they see. And you don't care about the identity of someone talking in chat because it's just one among 10,000. So do I care about your username even at this point? When your profile picture, the only thing I care about is that you call this overcharge that I'm going to join, which is so not social compared to what a club could be if we were 50 and if we were competing against others. And so when I saw that groups, when I first knew that groups existed in Moko, which was at the very beginning of chapter 1, I thought, wow, that's insanely cool. And then I joined one from one of my friends, and I realized you could be up to 1,000 in it, and that totally got me almost sad because I was like, there's no identity. You're gonna have bunch of people, 90% of them, you have no clue who they are. They have no clue who you are. The only thing we care about is being in this group for rifts or overcharges. So they're good to be selfish about the social aspect of the game.
Yeah, I that resonates a lot with me because when I first when the co-owners first created the Few Elites, we named it the Few Elites because we were just really meant to be like a group of friends in game, and that was actually quite nice because the chat was way more social and way more active. Obviously, the callouts weren't great, but we always had rift lobbies to help people, and people were yapping in there, and I kind of miss that. I think now TFE has almost 1,000 members. I'm certainly not going to make it a community, but besides the game being kind of dead, not dead, but less.
It's alive. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I've seen dead group chats, so yeah, it's alive.
I do think that an alternative to in-game groups, maybe few members, maybe not, and have kind of clan events or club events. I think that would be a great way to actually keep players engaged after you've finished all of the content, because you can have like weekly clan events or some clan leaderboard or something like that.
Definitely.
I think that would be really fun. Mm-hmm.
Wait, didn't they even announce something like that?
They did.
Yeah, I remember. But it never came, right? Yeah, it didn't.
Either in their Discord, in the main Discord, there was this sort of channel where they brought ideas.
Now, maybe it was even in one of the like KPIs or in the videos they posted. I think they like officially said something that's coming. I remember something like that. But I'm not sure where it was.
In the main Discord, there is a channel called Moko Short Feedback. And in this channel, there is a post from one of the moderators of the Discord that is called Guild Wars. And that's where I knew they had it in mind. It's from May 13th. So they already have it in mind. Let's just see if they can cook with it.
Okay. Yeah, I hope so. Because honestly, I think that would be a great way to keep people engaged post endgame.
Perfect. If you have nothing else regarding how the game is right now, we can move on to the KPI.
Ooh, I still have one big thing that the game needs.
Yes.
And it's like some sort of like replayable endgame content. I think that's also what a lot of people have been asking for and bringing up that it's missing. And I agree. It just needs to be something that you can just hop in daily or weekly and you can play it and you cannot be done with it. Like that just needs to be something that you can just log in and play every day.
Something to infinitely grind, you mean?
Not necessarily infinitely grind. It's just something replayable.
I kind of understand what you mean. Like in Brawl Stars, you always have, ranked. You can always get better. There's a leaderboard. You don't necessarily, it's not an infinite grind in that you're not gonna get a ton of resources necessarily, but I think it shouldn't be an infinite grind where like, oh, you get a ton of progression if you just keep playing and then it becomes like who's the sweatiest and has
Mhm.
no life the most. Um,
Yeah,
but some
exactly.
some fun activity, I guess, or mode in game where you can just hop in, do something interesting, maybe with other people, and it could either be a leaderboard thing where that's your motivation for grinding it, but you also can just do it for fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, or something
Yeah.
I could imagine is like a rotating modification of current rifts that require specific gadgets and weapons to use to complete them, right? You have
Oh,
to, they
Mm.
are like unique each week and you have to come up with your,
I like this
yeah.
idea. Like,
Me
imagine
too.
having the poison of Toxic Trench in every rift.
Yeah, for example, something like that.
Ooh.
Or each mob has like a shield around it and you need to play around that.
No, please
Something
no.
like
Please not the shell shield on every mob on the map.
that.
No way I'm playing this.
Oh, here's a diabolical idea. Every small mob is a bean. Infinite beans.
I don't. No,
Yeah.
no,
No.
no. I thought you were talking more about something like a rift with waves, but there are infinite waves. But I
Nah,
guess
nah,
it
nah.
doesn't really
Wow.
go anywhere. But I see now.
It could also be something where you can infinitely scale up the difficulty of a rift.
Mhm.
Like every kind of level. I don't know if this is a good idea, but every level you pass then unlocks a more more boss HP,
Mhm.
more damage or whatever. And it might be the kind of thing where people like to flex how far they've made it.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's a good example. Just something that you can just hop in and play and not be done with.
Yeah, having something to do. Yeah, simply enough. Yeah. Well, I'm interested to see if maybe they answered your need in the KPI. We will see. We could start with what is coming first when you open the latest KPI, number 9, which is there are no more chapters, but only seasons. And now I want to
Hmm.
have your opinion on that part. Maybe I'll just explain quickly. So chapters were kind of tied to resets, and now that there are seasons, is more like kind of all of the Supercell games. It's a specific time window in which you can have some rewards, but you do not have any resets anymore. So is it good? Is it bad? Does it help?
I'm a big fan of it.
Mhm.
Right now it's a seasonal game and the content runs out and you have nothing to do. And then the game just dies down and then there's going to be a hype. And they just have to come up with something insanely new each chapter to like get all their players back and to get the game to grow. And by having seasons, you don't have these downs that much.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can like maintain the players, I think, better. And also, it's not that scary for like let's say casual. It's not scary, but I can't find the word for them to like lose everything and have to replay everything every 3 months.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's much less intimidating than
Yeah,
seeing
exactly.
or for a new player, I actually it didn't occur to me because I'm not a new player, but it didn't occur to me until the KPI that like let's say if they kept the chapter structure like 10 chapters or 5 chapters from now even, being a new player would feel incredibly overwhelming because
Yeah.
you open the game and what you have rifts and dojos and worlds from chapter 1 all the way through to whatever chapter it is currently, and there's no way that a new person wouldn't feel incredibly overwhelmed and probably would just leave the game. And so I'd never really considered what happened once you get like 3 or 4 chapters out. And so I think it is a great change in that way.
Yeah, it couldn't stay
I
that
think,
way forever, for sure.
yeah, for sure.
Yes.
And I'm glad that they didn't just like after chapter 2 was received so horribly, I'm glad they didn't just say, okay, let's just take small steps and release a chapter 3. I am kind of glad that they were like, okay, no, we have to overhaul the chapter system is gone. Yeah, so I'm hesitantly optimistic about the seasons, I think.
Yeah, me too. I like, from what I've read, I like it.
But I think the concern from many people is that you cannot really play whatever you want. You are forced to do whatever is offered to you and available. And mainly for us rifters, if you only have 3 rifts we can play, do we really have as much fun as before?
I mean, it depends how they will actually implement it. I don't think they exactly said how they're going to do it, but
yeah, no, we need more
I
information
think-
for sure.
yeah, there are definitely ways that they can avoid that.
Because
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how like Rift projects will work if you only have like a certain Rift available. Say you only have one more Rift sub left if they keep those projects. What happens if you have to just wait until it
obviously,
comes back?
will they keep the projects? I'm not even sure, because since there's no chapter, there's no elite shop, so there are probably no projects. If you look at the image, you also see in the world thing that there are jobs, and they give actually merge tokens. So is it going to be the rift coming and you have to sub to it and you get a reward, and if you don't, you just lost the reward? But that doesn't mean, I don't think we are going to have a list of projects to do, because since
Okay.
technically, I mean, you say okay, but I'm not even sure myself, but I feel like they would have to revamp how all the projects work.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, curious about that.
Yeah, but I also think they're definitely gonna give us enough rifts in each time frame that we always have something to play. I don't see it like as a huge problem.
You're
That we're
positive
not
on
going
that,
to
that we have enough content. You're actually positive.
Like,
Okay.
nah, it's just a concern people have that they're going to limit the rifts that they're giving us each time frame too much. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Okay, I hear that point.
I hope, at least.
Yeah, me too. I really hope.
I think we all do hope. And another thing that is completely different with seasons in the next major Moko update is that we don't have any progression anymore. Whether you
Yeah.
are level 1, 50, 100, 3000, you will do the same amount of damage. Now, is that good? Is that bad? Because in some way, that means you're playing the game, but you're not getting stronger.
I am very, I guess, progression is such a big motivator for games. Like, oh, you play, you put in this time, and you see some like power effect on your power or your ability to do things in the game. Like in Brawl Stars, it's you unlock brawlers and you level them up so that you can, have better abilities. And I'm not sure where that progression motivation is going to be replaced by. What is it going to be replaced by? Like it feels satisfying to level up, I guess. But I do agree with their points from the KPI that loss of progression at season end really, really sucks. It feels bad, especially if you grinded a lot in the previous chapter. And I also, all of their problems with trying to balance XP so that returning players aren't penalized, but it's still possible for new players to somewhat catch up and not be left behind. So removing progression, power progression does fix that. I'm not really sure how people will feel the same motivation for grinding if they don't care about leaderboards, for example.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because progression is such a huge drive for a lot of players to play this kind of game. And I mean, they're completely revamping it, but with getting rid of progression, they need to introduce a way that makes people want to play. Like, as we talked in the things that a game needs, getting rid of progression is like the last thing that's in the game right now that's a motivation factor.
Mm-hmm.
They need to add something else.
And it might be the classes. I don't know how they're going to implement it. I don't think they know yet.
Well, we can get into it right now if you want. The
Sure,
classes.
unless people
I
have
think
sure.
that's
other
going to be
points.
a big topic as well because it's a huge change.
Oh,
So
it
I'm
is,
going to let
it
you
is.
talk about it.
You-
Maybe we start with
Okay.
Otop because I know Kauto has a lot to say.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say who's going first. So I'll be honest. When I saw that in the KPI, my heart dropped. That was my initial gut reaction, and I think I've tempered it somewhat now. But my first reaction was, "Are you kidding me? Why would you get rid of being able to customize your build and like develop your own builds?" Because I think the theory crafting and like finding the optimal builds and gadget and passive pairings, that was a really interesting part of the game for me. I know they want to make it more casual friendly, but I don't actually think builds are really a problem with that because I think, if somebody is stuck on a Rift or a Dojo, they're going to look up probably an HX guide or some other guide on YouTube and they'll be
Yeah.
just fine. Like, I don't think figuring out a build is that much of a barrier. And so I was very sad when I saw that, especially also because I really enjoy the like community tournaments that people will put on. MCR always has great tournaments, and the ability for the community to make tournaments with no builds is a lot. It's going to be hampered a lot. I think part of the fun of tournaments was being really creative with how you were going to use all of the gear, and that will no longer be a thing. I also think Cool Zone will be different, I guess, because now you don't really need to figure out what the best pairings are going to be and the synergies and stuff. So that was my initial reaction, very much a negative reaction. But I think I've tempered it somewhat. I'm still very hesitant to say that I support this, but I can see why they might have made this change. I think one thing that stands out to me is probably if you have classes, you can make it so that you can balance things a bit better because you don't have to consider how all of the gear is going to interact with all of the other gear. I guess another thing about classes, well, I guess it makes it a bit more simple for new players.
Oh, well, that's the main goal. So yes, I hope it does.
Yeah, but I'm not happy about that necessarily. I don't think that's something. I don't think we need to make it more simple because I think the mechanics of the game are actually already pretty simple because you don't really need to aim, and you only have 3 gadgets. In terms of, I don't think it's like a crazily complicated game technically, and I think the interesting part is building builds because the technical aspect of it is not as sweaty, I guess.
Yeah, I had the same initial reaction. I was heartbroken when I first read that they were going to remove any customization and they were going to add classes because it was such a huge skill expression, in my opinion, to come up with new builds, to figure out what was needed. You could be so creative with your builds. There were so many interactions that you had to
think of.
Exactly. And I'm just like really sad that they're completely removing this.
Well,
because that was the most fun.
They say it's an idea. They're looking for feedback. So
yeah. So like initially I was heartbroken. Like I was like, I'm not going to play the game anymore. They're taking away what I love the most. But now that I thought more about it, like they could do something really nice with classes if they still added some form of customization. I think they should not completely take it away so that every class is always the same. Like there should be stuffs within the classes that you can customize that can make each class independent and different, so you can still be creative with like your strategies and stuff.
Well, that's what I said in my previous podcast when we were talking about classes. So I said that one class has weapon, 3 gadgets, 3 passives. And I said maybe there could be a middle ground that we can find where instead of having 3 set gadgets, you have the choice. You have a pool of like 5, 6 gadgets, and you choose 3 among these 5. And that would also already make a bigger possibilities.
Yeah, that would immediately add content, because they could just say, play the class and then unlock more like possibilities to play the class, like unlock new gadgets for the class, unlock new passive, right? So I think that would be great.
But I think there's also this question of how many classes are they going to bring? Because if you tell me that there are 6 classes, yes, we are totally screwed. But if on the other hand, they can come up with 60 or 80 different classes, honestly, I don't think we need so much customization within a class. If there are already 80 to choose from, wow. But there probably won't be that many. But
you can take the current weapons in the game as an example, right? There are how many weapons? Like 12, like 15, something like that.
Yeah, 15.
And so let's say they keep them all and they add new passives and gadgets to fit each weapon. Like, do you really think they're just adding 15 more weapons, more new weapons? I'm very skeptical about that.
Well, they could add... one weapon could be in multiple different classes.
No. They said that each weapon, gadget, and passive is unique to its class. So, like, if a weapon or a gadget or a passive is in one class, it cannot be in another one. Like, that's at least what they said in the KPI.
Hey, wait, I didn't read that. Wait, that's so bad. Okay, wow, I'm discovering this. Well, I'm skeptical. So that means, 15 classes at max with what we have right now. But there are not enough passives and gadgets to keep up with the weapons. So I'm deeply curious now. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously going to introduce new weapons, new passives, new gadgets. But I still think it's not going to be enough. Like, I really hope they keep the customization inside the classes somewhat, so that the game doesn't feel like too stale.
And I mean, you've seen the video in the KPI probably of these sort of, I don't know, overcharge abilities.
I mean, they look so cool.
Yeah, they look cool. I don't know if you've noticed, for example, the toothpick guy is using Spicy Dagger. And so it already raised me a concern of like...
No. I think that's the ability. That's the toothpick ability.
It's the dash.
It's not the... Yeah. It has a fire behind it. It's not the Spicy Dagger.
Okay. But yeah, I don't know how that will be played, if that's a 4th button that we'll have. But it is a major concern. I get your point. Do you think there is a middle ground that can be found? Because then my idea of having a pool of gadgets is actually not possible if they want to make everyone unique.
I mean, get rid of this idea that everything has to be unique to each class and just give options inside the class.
But then they'll still have to make sure that it'll be more work in terms of testing, like to see if anything is exploitable if you have more customization. I don't know if that's the reason why they removed customizable builds, but if it is, that would reintroduce that problem.
And earlier, Otop, you were talking about that classes would make the balancing of items easier. I kind of have a different point of view on that part, because I think that after 2 weeks of being lost after the update, the community will just realize what class is best for which dojo and Rift, and that we will just run it and not care about the other classes. And if they want to balance that, they will just have to nerf whatever we use, but then there's something else will be better, and we will just all use it until it gets nerfed.
Right.
I don't know if that's really going to be the case once it's going live, but I feel like it could be that way.
Yeah, but I mean, what you described is just like a natural issue every game kind of has, and it's just a balancing and game design issue that they need to figure out.
Right, like right now, everybody uses the same things for most of the rifts. AoE gadgets with bow and maybe a tank. I don't think I've equipped Buzzkill once this whole chapter.
Yeah. Well, Tiger had a good
I
point
don't know.
of allowing only one class per rift.
Please not. Please.
You don't want that? You would like to
No.
run 4 times the same thing? Well, I don't know about
Mm.
that. Oh, why is it such a problem for you?
Yeah, being forced to, like, it just limits your options. It limits the possibilities you can play. Like, I think they should just balance-wise and game design-wise make it bad, for example, to run 4 times the same over. I think it's in their hands to, like, balance and design the game that way. I don't think they should just hard limit, or you can only take one class each.
Okay, interesting. I didn't think you'd be so much against it. I see your
I mean, that's
point.
just my take.
Mhm. But then, yeah, and what if there are rifts that require more than 4 players? That could also be
Oh yeah.
interesting, and maybe we'll not have a single meta that everyone will follow. But who knows? So there's a lot that they can cook, and let's just hope that they cook the right thing.
Yes.
I will say one pro of classes is that they will be able to put in more like OP effects, like invisibility, because they can then easily balance
Hmm.
to have it have some weakness or downside. You can't just cheese Squidblade an entire rift and skip all the run up.
Let's hope. Perfect. If you have anything else to add to builds and classes, but I think
Please make them good.
Yeah, honestly, I don't have anything else to say other than please.
Yeah, no, but they look.
I love this
really
game so much.
interesting.
Please.
And all, you've probably seen all the master tracks that they have, and we will be able to have a
Mhm.
tracker for our damage and all the stats that we have in the game. I think that's really interesting,
Mhm.
especially when you want to grind this thing over and over again. So let's see how
Oh,
it goes.
one critique that I've seen a lot is that people are like, "Oh, they're just making Moko like Brawl Stars,"
Are they wrong?
because of the
There are seasons,
No.
there are events, and now we
No.
have
classes,
I mean-
which are basically like brawlers.
Yeah, but Brawl Stars is like mainly PvP focused, right? And this game is more like PvE focused. I don't think
Right.
you could compare to Brawl
I'm
Stars,
also
could you?
on the opinion of if it works in other Supercell games, might as well get the ID from them. You know, Seasons, Clash Royale has that, Brawl Stars has that. I'm pretty sure a lot of other Supercell games have that. And Moku was the only one with big chapter resets, and it wasn't working. So I don't mind them taking the ID from games that actually work, if it actually cooks in Moco. Maybe then we can go to the last point. Yeah, a point that is really, really sad, I think. There are no big updates planned for 2025. And
Yeah.
so my biggest concern is, do you think the game will survive?
I honestly don't know. I think it feels like we're losing more and more players, like as every week goes by, with no really big updates or new content until 2026, at least. It'll be really tough, I think, to try to maintain a player base. Like, I'm actually quite worried that by the time Moko 2 drops, a lot of the original people will just be retired. And maybe that's not bad for the game, but it makes me sad. Because maybe they'll get a bunch of new players coming in for Moko Part 2. But I do think a lot of people will just take a break for a couple of months, and maybe some of those people will come back.
Yeah, it's definitely a reasonable concern because, yeah, you never know. Like, is the game ever going to get big again? Like, is the new Moko going to hit the masses? And like with the game being like a hibernating state for such a long time now, yeah, it's definitely concerning. But in my opinion, I'm a big fan of this drastic change of just cutting off this game that's not working and completely focusing everything they have on the new Moko. I like it, but yeah, I'm also concerned that it's not going to work out.
Yeah, well, I think that personally they might have released the game too early, and so they're paying the price right now. If they release Moko a bit later and actually have more work into it, we wouldn't be there. So you gotta take what you gotta take. I remember from my previous podcast that both, especially Gastomo, said he knew the team working on Moko, and he said he trusted them. I know also Expectation, I think, said that. No, Kairos Time also said that in one of his videos. So people trust them. Now we just need to see the results. But I'm gonna be honest, if in January 2026 they tell us that we have to wait another 3 months, then I don't know what to think.
I mean, you're not gonna get this in January. Like they just said nothing for 2026. Let's be realistic. It's not coming early 2026, is it? Like, so I would be surprised if they.
You think Chapter 2 will go on till like March 2026?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Like I would. They should take their time and do it properly.
Gosh.
I wonder who's going to be there to sub 30 seconds Throne Room Nightmare.
I mean, they are
So
reworking half the game. Like, I don't know if they can do it this quickly.
I guess we'll have a lot of answers, I hope, in the coming weeks or months, if they kind of keep up with the communication that they have.
Right. For this game to have any chance, I think they really need to up their communication, because people cannot wait that long and have also mostly radio silence.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any last point or anything that we haven't covered that you want to talk about? Anything?
I still had something that I wanted to say about the nothing coming for a while, but I forgot it, man. Give me like a minute.
Yeah, sure.
I'll just say I'm sure we've said quite a lot of harsh things about the devs in this podcast, but I really do think that they have done a great job with the game. It was probably the most fun that I've ever had on a mobile game.
Same.
And I really want them to do well. Like I want this game to succeed, and I hope that they don't get a lot of non-constructive hate in the coming weeks. And I hope that the community is able to provide their feedback in a helpful way for them.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is that they showed that they can make like a great game, because the gameplay itself, this rift designs and stuff, the gameplay is amazing. Like it's so good, it's so addictive. It's just everything around, and they just need to revamp that.
I totally agree. I think we went through everything. I see that we have been recording for 1 hour and 44 minutes. Congratulations, we made it. Thank you very much for being here, Otop and Kaokto. Otop, I think I will probably put the link of the few edits down below, their Discord. Kaokto, do you want me to put your Discord down below so people can DM you and tell you how nice your voice is? Okay.
No.
And maybe the link to add you to their friend list.
No, thanks.
No. That would be insane.
Ask for carries.
No, but thanks for watching this. Had a lot of fun recording, talking with you. Learned a lot, and I hope that I will see you in the next one.